lovely people, and welcome to this week's video. My name's Philippa and I'm a yoga teacher. I teach in Mid Wales in the UK. If you would like to know more about me, then you can subscribe to my channel, please do. Give me a thumbs up or a comment, and the email is at the beginning and the end of the video, so do get in touch if you'd like to know more about what I do. I teach every Wednesday in Mid Wales if you are in that area. I'm also going to be starting an online class after New Year, so in January 2025. So watch this space if you would like to get involved. So today we're going to be doing a fairly gentle class. My classes generally are fairly gentle. Lots of back bends, and we're going to be doing a couple of balances. So if you think that you might need them, I would suggest having a belt with a little loop in the end and a block or a book a bit like that, so nice and thick, there's an option to use later. So today we're going to be working with the Mula Bandha. So if I forget to remind you, please remember yourself that we do it on the exhale. So as you're exhaling, you can engage the Mula Bandha. If it feels really uncomfortable, don't worry about it, but it's a really good practice. It's just so good for us to be working with these muscles of the pelvic floor. We're also going to be working with the Manipura, which is the chakra here just above the navel. So we're going to be doing a little bit of chanting there, and that's very much about the sort of how we stand in our power and step forward and so on. So we're working with that today. And we're going to be doing a little bit of work with the heart. We're going to do a little bit of chanting, working with the Anahata, that's the heart chakra. And finally, a little bit with the Vishuddhi, which is the throat chakra. So to begin, I'm going to invite you to find a comfortable seat. That might be in a chair, and that's absolutely fine, or sitting cross-legged like me, or you can have the legs out, or however you want to. And we're going to begin by just closing the eyes or lowering the gaze and coming into awareness of inside of the nose. So I'm going to invite you to just begin to feel the cool air moving in, warm air moving out. Feel the breath touching the inside of the nostrils. Beautiful. And then the next time you exhale, I'm going to invite you to engage those muscles of the pelvic floor, so the Mula Bandha. And then when you inhale, just release again. We'll work with that just for a few breaths. So as you exhale, engaging those muscles. So you're not trying to really squeeze as hard as you possibly can. You're not trying to do that. You're just engaging the muscles and releasing on the inhale. So there's no struggle with this. It should feel easy. But the more practice you get at it, the more strong you'll be able to make it, but without a sense of sort of really stressing yourself. So from here, we're just going to make a few movements with the arms. So I'm going to invite you first of all to open the arms as wide as you can. And then we're going to give ourselves a hug. So just bringing the arms right across, taking the hands as far back behind you as you can, giving yourself a little hug. And then opening the arms again as wide as you can, keeping them up, not dropping them too much. And then when you come back, crossing over the other way and taking the hands as far back behind the shoulders as you can, giving yourself a little hug. Beautiful. And then we're going to come out, we're going to bring the arms up above the head and look up between the hands. From here, we're going to take a little side bend, so it doesn't really matter which way you go. Make sure you keep the opposite hip down on the floor, coming over to the side, and then take a look up underneath the armpit. We'll come back through centre. Sorry you can't see my hands, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Coming down into this nice side bend, both sides of the seat bones, you know what I mean, on the ground and then having a look up under the armpit. And then we're going to come up, both hands up, and then bring the hands forward, bringing them down in front of the body, taking a little bit of a forward bend. And then we'll walk the hands back and come back to our neutral spine. Beautiful. So I'm going to invite you now to come round and lie on the back with your knees bent and heels behind the bottom. So here we are, lying on a back, hands down by the sides with the palms facing down, heels directly behind the bottom, knees directly above the hips there, and we're just going to take a couple of pelvic tilts. So this is where you just drop the lumbar spine on the exhale, engaging the Mula Bandha, and as you inhale, releasing everything. We'll do that once more. So exhale, dropping down, and then releasing back. Beautiful, wonderful. From here, I'm going to invite you to lift one leg, it doesn't matter which one. Grab hold of the knee, either in front or behind, whichever suits you, and take the other leg long along the ground. But we're not letting the foot go floppy. We're really pushing through the heel of both feet here. And then we're going to rotate the top ankle, but keeping the bottom foot flexed. So one way and then the other a few times. And then from here we're going to bring the other knee up into the chest and take the first one down. So again, really stretching through the heel of the lower leg and then rotating top and bottom, not top and bottom. You know what I meant. So then we're going to bring both knees up into the chest and have a little rock from side to side, and then dropping the knees down, coming back into your semi-supine position here, but this time we're going to bring the arms out wide so they're going along the ground shoulder height. We're going to lift one leg, it doesn't matter which one you do, and cross it over the other as if you were sitting in a chair, so all the way over. And then we're going to do that same thing that we did a minute ago, giving ourselves a hug. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the opposite arm to leg is on top. So I've got my right leg going over that way, so I'm going to have my left arm on top, coming right over, giving myself a big hug here. And then from here, I'm going to see if I can come up into my modified Garudasana, modified eagle arms. So this is where you keep the elbows together and you're literally just seeing if you can bring the backs of the hands together. I'm not actually trying to get them together at the moment, just bringing them towards each other. And then from here, I'm going to raise up the bottom foot and then see if I can lift the arms a little bit. Breathing here, remembering your Mula Bandha on the exhale. And then drop everything down, come to the neutral position, and then we'll do it on the other side. So the other foot goes over, so that means I'm now going to cross my right arm on top, coming back into my hug there and then I'm going to open the arms, see if I can get the backs of the hands together, and then raising the bottom foot and raising the arms up. Beautiful. And then just come back to the neutral position for a moment. So from here we're going to bring the arms again opened to shoulder height. So from here there's two options here. You can either just drop the knees, roll on the feet, drop the knees down to one side and look over the other arm. So if that's good for you, do that. If you want something a bit stronger, you can take one of your legs long, raise the other knee up, take hold of the outside of that knee with the opposite arm and bring that knee over. And then I've got my arm hanging here, and that's kind of okay as long as it's not hurting along here. So just let that arm hang if you're not very flexible like me. And we're just going to breathe here, remembering the Mula Bandha. And this is where we're going to do a chant of YAM, Y-A-M, for the heart. So breathing in. YAM. Beautiful. Then come back to the centre, to your neutral position, and we're going to go the other way. So if you did this on that side, do it again on this side. If you're happier coming over and taking this stronger version of the supine twist, then do that. Breathing in. And then coming back round to the neutral position. Now hopefully you're all remembering to do your Mula Bandha on the exhale. So from here we're going to come up and do a little bridge pose. First of all, I'm going to invite you again to drop, on the exhale, drop the lumbar spine, Mula Bandha, and then as you inhale, push into the feet, curling up the tailbone and lifting the hips. And then dropping back down. So we're working with the Manipura here. That's the chakra just above the belly button. And as we come down the next time, we're going to make a chant of Ram. So again, exhale, dropping the lumbar spine, raising up the hips as you press gently into the floor. And then as you come down, Ram. Wonderful. Well done, everybody. So I'm going to invite you now to roll over onto one side and then come up and join me in all fours. So we're going to come into a nice long cat here. So the hands a little bit in front of the shoulders. And we're going to, as we inhale, looking forward, taking the spine down to the floor, but not collapsing. And then as you exhale, Mula Bandha, and looking between the knees, taking the spine to the floor. Let's do that twice more. So inhale, feeling how the front of the body really stretches there as you go down, and exhale, spine as far up to the ceiling as you can, Mula Bandha. Last time. And Mula Bandha on the exhale. Beautiful. So we're going to come back to a neutral spine here, and then I'm going to invite you to raise one arm up, it doesn't matter which one you do, and exhale, take that hand all the way through. So I'm threading the needle. I'm going to turn my back to you, sorry about that. Threading the needle, and then I'm going to bring my shoulder down. Now if this doesn't work for you, and it feels like it's a bit too much, you could have a block. It could be a big one or a little one. Yeah, so that when you come through, you can put your shoulder onto the block. And that's a good way of modifying. But if you're okay to come down onto the mat, putting the head down, so you can either keep this hand here, or you can take it forwards. And again, we can take some lovely big breaths here. Seeing if you can really relax and let everything go. Then we'll bring that hand back, if it was to the front, come back to the neutral position, and we'll do it on the other side. So raising the other arm up and exhaling, bringing that hand through, coming down, using a block if you need to. And it might feel really different on this side. It does for me. I feel a lot stiffer on this side. So trying to just relax into the pose. Beautiful. And then coming back to your neutral position, I'm going to invite you to tuck the toes, and we're going to walk the hands back, and we're going to come into our toe squat. Now, if this just feels too excruciating, you can always just come forward a bit like this and just take the weight back, but not actually put the whole of your sitting bones onto your heels. Just see what works for you. Okay, so from here we're going to do a little sequence. So just follow me. We're going to come up to our high kneeling, bringing the arms up and onto the lumbar spine. We're going to shine the heart forwards here. And then we're going to open the arms really wide. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did just a minute ago. So crossing the arms over, it doesn't matter which way you do the first time. And then seeing if you can come up into your modified Garudasana arms. Now, if you can get the fingers onto the other palm, if you can do that, that's fine. Otherwise, just being like this or here or however you are is absolutely fine. And we're just working with a little bit of a back bend, so we're just taking the arms up. Don't go too far. If this feels really strong on the back of the shoulders, then just back off a little bit. Beautiful. And then we're going to let go of that, and we're going to step one foot forward. It doesn't really matter which one you do. And we're going to come into a lunge, so lunging forwards. We're going to bring the hands into prayer position in front of the heart. And then I'm going to try and keep my hips facing forward, but I'm going to turn the top of my body to face you. And then see if you can bring the elbow onto the knee. And then from here you can use the sort of leverage here to see if you can look behind you. Remembering on the exhale, Mula Bandha, we can be here for a moment. Lovely, and then we can bring ourselves into the dragon, so one hand either side of this foot. And then we're going to walk the hands and the bottom back, keeping the toes on the ground for a moment. And then we're going to just pivot the toes towards us. So this is really opening for the hamstring. If you need to have the leg bent, that's absolutely fine, just doing what's right for you. Then we're going to roll back onto the top of the foot, bring this hand inside. So we've got both hands on the inside of this foot. If you want to turn the toes of this foot out, you can. And then from here, we're just going to try and relax down. So if you can come down onto your elbows, if that's easy for you, do that. If it's not so easy for you like me, I'm not very flexible really, so if not, then just bend the arms and just go to where's comfortable. And we're just going to try and breathe here. And let's do a LAM, L-A-M for the root. LAM. Beautiful. And then from here, you can have a moment. So take the knees wide, big toes together, dropping down into your child, if that's good for you, or you can always come and lie on your back. Lovely. And then I'm going to turn around because we're going to do it on the other side. What I didn't say, by the way, is if you need a blanket under your knees to pad your knees, please do that. So from our toe squat, coming up, opening the arms, taking the hands onto the back of the body, inhaling. And then we're going to bring the arms out. So, and we're going to try to remember which way you cross the arms and do them the other way. Give yourself a little bit of a hug and then opening. That's it. I'm actually the wrong way. So just make sure that you've opened, that you've done your hands crossing the correct way. If you can come into the full version of that, then that's wonderful. If not, that's wonderful too. Raising up the arms, slight back bend. Wonderful. So then we're going to step forward with the other leg. So whichever one you did before, do the other one. It's fine to keep the back toes tucked, by the way, if that gives you a bit of stability, that's good. So we're going to do hands together in front of the heart, rotating, remembering to try and keep the hips pointing forwards. And then we're going to come down in this twisty position here and see if you can look up behind you. So you can use the knee as a bit of leverage. Wonderful. And then coming down, framing this foot with the hands. And then we're going to move back, keeping the toes down to begin with, and then lifting the toes, having the knee bent if you need to, dropping the head, which really increases the stretch, so do be careful. And then rolling back forwards again, hands, both hands inside of this foot. If you want to take that foot out, that's good. Just adjusting yourself to however you need it. And then again, if you can come down, it's a bit easier for me on this side. If you can come down onto your elbows, then do that. Otherwise, staying up and just bending the elbows is good. And then we'll come back again and have another rest. So you might want to come down into the crocodile instead, which is coming forwards like this with the toes out, one hand on top of the other, head on top of the hands, and just moving the hips from side to side. So from here, we're going to come up and we're going to make our way up to standing. So you can just stand up if you like, or you can raise up like I am. So coming up like this. So if you've got any kind of blood pressure issues or anything going on, you can always just have your elbows on your knees here and just keep your heart at the same level as your head. But if you're happy to drop the head down, I've got my knees lovely and bent, you notice. So then we're going to come up, you can straighten the knees a bit, coming up to a flat back. And then we're going to bend the knees even more and we're going to come forwards into our skiing position. And then from here we're going to try and keep the knees bent and raising up the arms into chair, looking at the chair, beautiful, and then coming down again. And then we're going to come up to standing, and I need to move my camera. Okay, so let's just come and take a moment in Tadasana. So looking down at your feet, making sure they're hip width apart, rolling back with the shoulders, maybe give your arms a little bit of a wiggle and then let them go. Lovely. So we're going to work a little bit more with the chair, and then we're going to go into a couple of balances. So I would recommend, even if you don't know whether you'll need it, really good idea to have this block and the belt with the loop in it somewhere nearby. So let's start with the chair. So we've just done it a little bit, but we'll do it a little bit more, and we're going to do a little twist with it. So again, looking down at your feet, making sure you're in your nice Tadasana. And then what we can do is we can bend the knees to start with. So bend the knees as far as you can. Some people have got much more flexible ankles than me. Just doing what you can. And then we're going to bring the arms out in front to begin with. And then take them up and try and keep the knees really bent there. Now we're going to bring the hands together and bring them down in front of the heart, but trying to keep the body in the same position it was. And this is where we're going to do the same thing that we did when we were in the lunge. So we're going to try and keep the hips pointing forwards and turn the body to one side. And then we're going to come down into this twist. So if you can come down and put your elbow onto that knee, that's fine. If not, then being in mid-air is fine as well. And then from here we're going to open the arms, and we can take a look up at the top arm. And then just come back coming back into your Tadasana. So we'll do that on the other side. So I'll turn around, bending the knees, taking the arms out in front, and then keeping everything in the same position. What I didn't say on the other side is taking the weight into the heels and then raising up the arms. Hands coming together in prayer position in front of the heart, trying to keep the hips where they are, turning the top of the body, and then coming down. So you can go onto your knee if you want to or not, and then opening the arms, looking up at that top arm, and then bringing the hands together. Wonderful. So we're going to come back into the first of our balances now, and this is where I'm going to suggest having your block. We're going to work with Garudasana, eagle pose. So if you just have the block right next to the foot that you're going to stand on, so having it so it's sort of just, it's kind of just behind the back of it is just behind my toes. So it's right next to that. So I'm in my Tadasana here. Going to do the same thing that we've just done. So coming down, bending the knees, coming down, bringing the arms forward. So we're doing the same as we've just done when we were going into the chair. But now we're going to open the arms. Okay, and I'm going to be lifting this foot, which is my right leg. So I'm going to have my left arm on top, coming into the hug that we've been doing, and then seeing wherever you come to. So this is fine if going into the full pose feels too difficult. From here we're going to take the weight over, so I'm just on my tiptoes. Now you can just stay there and say that that is fine. Or if you want to, she says nearly falling over, you can lift that foot up and put the toes onto the block. And that is a really beautiful way to modify. And then I can raise the arms up a little bit. So I could try and lift the foot as well. I can't take the foot behind. My body doesn't work like that. But some people do. Beautiful breathing, remembering the Mula Bandha. Woo! She says, well done. So we'll do it on the other side. So a book is fine, like I said. So we're going to bend the knees, take the weight into the heels. I forgot to say that last time. Opening the arms. Yeah. And then I'm going to be lifting my left leg, so I'm crossing my right arm over this time, coming into my Garudasana arms. So it's really important. I get a lot of people who end up like that. They kind of straighten the leg. It's really important to try and see if you can keep the lower leg bent as you lift the other leg. So it remains bent. And actually having this block here is really helpful for that, because it means that you're not having to have all the weight on the lower leg. But you can always have a go at lifting it up and trying to take the foot behind. Just doing your best. Mula Bandha, remember, on the exhale. Well done, everybody. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to have a go at the dancer, which is also a balance. Now, I've got a fantastic wall here, which is brilliant for helping me. So if you can take your mat next to a wall and have a wall that can help you to balance, and because you need to, you know, then that's great. You can always get a chair, have a chair next to you and hold the back of the chair. Now, we've got our loop here. Starting in Tadasana again, choose which leg you're going to lift, okay? And we're going to put the loop around the foot. And we're going to, then you can just have the belt in your hand. So I'm going to take my weight over onto the other foot, right? The standing leg is straight, but the knee is soft. So I haven't kind of gone, I'm not really clenching. I'm not clenching the muscles of the knee. The knee is soft. I can put my hand on the wall to help me to begin with. And I'm literally just going to take the foot out behind me, okay? Now this can be the dancer pose. This is a modified version of the dancer pose, okay? But we could see if we want to try and lift the leg. Now, what I'd like to do first with you, in fact, is to just have the knees together. You can hold on to your wall or your chair or whatever you've got. Knees together and just pull the foot up. And what this is doing is it's just doing a little bit of a stretch to the front of that thigh, because actually we haven't done that today. So it's good just to give it a little bit of warming up before we actually go into the full pose. So then from here, if you want to have a go at the full pose, so holding on to the belt if you want to, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the hand forward. I'm in this little chin mudra here with the thumb and forefinger together, and then I'm going to lean forwards, and as I lean forwards like this, I'm keeping the leg down. We don't want this, yeah. As I lean forwards, then what happens is the leg goes out behind me, she says, and then I can then try and push onto the foot and go backwards. And this really suits me, doing it with the belt here. And it might suit you too. So let's do it on the other side. So you're going to swap over the loop, hold on to the belt, and again let's start by just taking that foot out behind, the other opposite hand out in front in your little chin mudra, and this is your very modified version. And then we can see if we want to lift that foot up, having the knees together to begin with, holding onto your wall if you need to, just having a little bit of a stretch in the muscles of the front of the thigh there, just to warm them up a little bit before we actually go into the dancer. So then, if you want to do that, lifting the foot up, holding it wherever you want to, taking the arm out to the front, and then leaning forward, and see how that automatically takes you into the pose, and then you can push out backwards with the foot, she says, trying not to do that. So we're trying to keep the knee in, so that the knee is coming straight out rather than going out to the side like I've been doing. So, wonderful. So you might want to have a little bit more of a practice with that. You can always pause the video if you would like to. So, hopefully you enjoyed those balances. We're going to come down now and we're just going to do a couple of counter poses before we do the relaxation. So I'm going to invite you just to come and lie down on the mat, and we can just bring the knees up into the chest, have a little bit of a rock from side to side. And then we can come into a happy baby. So the most important thing about this is that you've got the soles of the feet facing the ceiling. So if you've got your hands behind the knees, that's absolutely fine, that's a happy baby. If you can reach up and grab hold of the soles of your feet even, pulling the knees down towards the armpits, then that's the full version, but you can do whatever you like. So from here, I'm just going to invite you to come into a long stretch. So just take your feet out long, as far as they'll go. I don't know if you can see mine. Stretch, really point through your toes, and then bringing your arms up above the head, coming into stick pose here. Ah, lovely. And then from here, I'm just going to invite you to do whatever you want. So you might want to come into a nice little supine twist, like this, which is really nice. Or you might want to have a little bit of a rock on the back, or do a bridge, or whatever you choose. And then I'm going to invite you to come and find your Shavasana. So we've got the hands down by the sides with the palms facing up, and I'm going to take the feet out along the mat width apart, letting them go, just letting everything relax. And we're going to have some nice music playing gently here in the background as we relax. So nothing to do here. This is the most important pose of the whole practice. Just really allowing everything to let go, dropping down into the mat. Stay here as long as you like. Don't move just because I do. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the support, and thank you so much to all the people who have been so generously donating. And if you would like to donate to me, then you can contact me via the email at the beginning and end of the video, and I'm really happy to give you details of how to do that. So as I said at the beginning, do subscribe if you like what I'm doing and you're not subscribed to my channel. Hopefully see you again sometime, and thank you very much for joining me. Namaste.